10 bone-chilling true stories from small towns. Unexplainable horrors revealed in Eerie Chronicles in the quiet corners of America, where the streets feel like memories wrapped in fog. A different thread of history weaves through small towns, leaving deeper scars than anyone dares to acknowledge. Welcome to the spine-chilling world of 10 bone-chilling true stories from small towns, where unexplainable horrors lurk just beneath the surface, waiting to be uncovered. As the sun sets and shadows stretch, you might want to cling to your seat because what you're about to encounter will knock the breath right out of you. Take Pine Hollow, for instance. A quaint little town nestled in the heart of the Appalachian Mountains. It looks as if it stepped right out of a storybook. But locals whisper about the old church at the end of Maple Street, which has stood empty since that fateful night 20 years ago when Reverend Thomas went missing. They say his ghost presides over the congregation that never was, watching over his flock even in death. On stormy nights, you can hear the bell tolling, although it hasn't rung since the good Reverend disappeared. When the winds howl and the fog rolls in thick, you might glimpse his shadow flitting between the trees. Or so people say, with trembling voices and wide eyes. Then there's the chilling tale from Riverton. Legend has it that the local diner, Betty's Eats, is built on an ancient burial ground. Many who've dined there late at night have claimed they felt icy hands grasping their shoulders, or heard ghostly whispers discussing old, forgotten secrets. The waitstaff, toughened by years of serving hungry locals, can't fathom the tales. But when the lights flicker and the burgers turn cold, the tension is palpable. More than a few patrons have bolted for the doors, heart racing, leaving meals unfinished as they cross themselves. A curious silence clings to these chilling stories, too. It's that lingering feeling that something is always out of place, a vibe that prickles your skin. The air feels electric, like before a storm, making folks glance over their shoulders as they walk home. And what's even more unsettling, the rumors of the wraith of Willow Creek, a ghostly figure said to roam the banks of the stream at the edge of town. One rainy night, a group of teenagers dared to investigate, only to have one of them vanish without a trace, leaving nothing but a faint echo of laughter behind. What kind of presence could take someone so easily? Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important heads up. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube unsubscribed them without warning. Take a quick second to check the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I'd hate for you to miss any of the exclusive content coming soon. And while you're there, smash that like button. It really helps me out with the algorithm. Oh, and tell me in the comments, which city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's connect. Moving on, the tale from Maple Grove about the silver-haired old man who roams the abandoned railway tracks sends chills down your spine. Folks claim he has been watching over the ghost train that never arrived, and he's still waiting for passengers who never stepped off the platform. Children dare each other to run to the tracks at dusk, but the hushed warnings from parents hover in the air like smoke. And the next day, a child whispers about seeing the old man, watching with eyes as deep as the night sky. But these are just the beginnings of our Eerie Chronicles. As we delve deeper into these bizarre narratives, what other secrets will unfold? What other horrors wait in the shadows? And what darkness hides behind the cheerful facades of America's small towns? Buckle up, because this journey through unexplainable realms of fear has only just begun. Truth is stranger, and horrifyingly so, than fiction. What is truly lurking behind those weary doors, waiting to be discovered? In the heart of Cedar Grove, the streets wound like ribbons through a vibrant canvas of autumn leaves. The town appeared picturesque, but beneath that colorful surface lay a darkness that gnawed at its very foundation. A twisted tale threaded its way through the town's history, a story of betrayal, obsession, and unspeakable horror. The legend began with Lily Hartman, a young woman known for her beauty and kind heart. Lovers and admirers fluttered around her like moths to a flame. However, Lily only had eyes for one man, Jacob Lawson, the town's carpenter. They planned to elope, their dreams promising a future full of light. But as fate would have it, another man, Edward Carver, coveted Lily's affection. Despite his many attempts to win her over, she consistently chose Jacob. Fueled by jealousy and rage, Edward plotted to ruin their happiness. One fateful night, while the town celebrated the annual harvest festival, he snatched Lily away, dragging her to the edge of the woods. Witnesses claimed they heard a scream that seemed to slice through the laughter and music, but when the search party went into the darkness, they found nothing, no signs of struggle, no trace. Jacob, heartbroken and desperate, searched day and night. Days turned into weeks, and with every passing hour, hope faded like the autumn leaves in the wind. It wasn't until the first snow fell that a local hunter claimed to have seen Edward lurking in the woods, a strange gleam in his eye and an unnatural calm about him. Soon after, Edward disappeared too. Decades rolled by, but the townsfolk have never truly forgotten. They say that every year during the festival, a chilling fog settles over the town. Shadows flicker and whispers echo in the night. Those who venture into the woods claim to hear the sound of laughter, tainted with sadness, and the faint cry of a woman calling for help. As stories twist and age like a fine wine, the truth remains buried beneath layers of deception and fear. In just a few days, Cedar Grove was set to host the Harvest Festival again. Anecdotes about Lily and Edward whispered through the town's bakery, barbershop, and school. When a newcomer arrived, Jenny, a curious journalist eager to uncover the truth, decided to dig deeper into the chilling narrative. She felt drawn to the mystery, senses tingling. As she interviewed residents, strange occurrences began. Bizarre sounds reverberated through her small apartment at night. Items moved from their usual spots, leaving her feeling more and more unnerved. One afternoon, while flipping through old town records, she found a faded picture of Edward with a wild look in his eyes and a strange marking on his wrist, one that eerily resembled the markings on a local tree known as the Wailing Oak. Haunted by her findings, Jenny couldn't shake the feeling that something more sinister was at play, and the closer she got to the truth, the tighter a grip the town seemed to have on her. Was she merely peeling away old layers of folklore, or was she stirring up something far darker? As she prepared for the festival, Jenny felt the weight of thousands of restless souls crashing over her. The night air crackled with anxiety, and the fog roiled like an angry ocean. She knew she needed to unearth the truth about that night long ago, but would uncovering the dark past lead her to liberation, or could it beckon the restless spirits right at her heels? The clock ticked louder as the festival approached. Shadows danced at the edges of her vision, and an icy grip held her heart. What would the fateful night reveal, and who or what was lurking just beneath the surface, waiting to emerge? Would she become part of Cedar Grove's twisted tale, or could she unravel its mysteries before it was too late? Jenny stood in front of her apartment window, watching the golden leaves cascade from the trees like whispers of secrets left unspoken. The Harvest Festival was just hours away, but her heart raced under the weight of the unknown. What awaited her in the fog-blanketed woods, truth or fate? She recalled the myths about the Wailing Oak, the eerie marking on Edward's wrist echoing in her mind like an unanswered question. Realization struck her like thunder. The marking wasn't just a coincidence. It was a connection, a clue woven deep into the fabric of the town's sinister lore. Determined, Jenny grabbed her notebook and headed out. The cobblestone streets felt unfamiliar, shadows stretching and altering her path. With every step, the air turned heavier, wrapping around her like a dense shroud. The festival had begun, but the atmosphere felt wrong. Laughter mingled with an underlying tension, the townsfolk wearing hollow smiles as if they were perfectly aware of the specter looming over them, and she was the only one oblivious. She moved through the crowd, listening to snippets of conversation, half nervous, half determined. "Don't go into the woods tonight," a voice echoed nearby. An older woman stood by a pumpkin stand, her eyes wild and sunken, shaking her head. "The fog makes you lose your way. You don't want to follow that sound, it'll lead you to darkness." Those words settled grimly in Jenny's mind as she melted back into the crowd, finally catching a glimpse of the Wailing Oak at the edge of the fairgrounds. It stood tall and twisted, branches clawing at the sky, its bark etched with deep grooves. The legends passed down through generations danced in her thoughts. No fear should dictate her actions. She had a mission, but deep inside, unease prickled her skin. She tried to shake it off and made her way closer to the tree, her instincts screaming at her to stop. As she approached, she could swear the wind carried faint laughter, joyous yet tinged with desperation, echoing just beyond the branches. Transfixed, she stretched out a trembling hand toward the bark, feeling the rough texture beneath her fingertips. Then, a chill swept through, and the laughter grew louder, morphing into anguished cries. Jenny jerked back, heart pounding in her chest. "Who is there?" she called, voice quivering. Silence. But then, from behind the tree, a figure emerged, a tall silhouette, blurred in the fog, eyes gleaming with a wild light that sent a shiver coursing down her spine. It was a man, and he resembled the faded picture she had found, striking an otherworldly resemblance to Edward Carver. The darkness around him seemed to pulsate, and Jenny felt a compulsion she could not understand. The whispers echoed again, turning into demands. "Help me," they implored. "Edward," she breathed, but the name felt heavy on her tongue, a line between the living and the dead blurring before her eyes. "Find me," he said, voice a low rumble, yet dripping with desperation. The air crackled with electricity, the fog swirling around him, becoming thicker with every passing second. Questions clawed their way up her throat like suffocating vines. Was he a ghost, or was this some kind of trap? Tears stung her eyes as she felt herself being drawn closer, the promise of answers shimmering just out of reach. "Jenny!" A familiar voice yelled from behind. It was David, her friend who had been searching for her. Panic twisted in her gut as she turned to him, and when she looked back, Edward had vanished, leaving only lingering wisps of fog that curled into nothingness. "Where have you been?" David panted, looking relieved yet concerned. "You shouldn't be by the Wailing Oak. Everyone's talking about the fog. We need to stay together." Her heart raced, but not just from fear, it was from something she could not yet grasp. She had to return. She had to know where Edward had gone, and if he truly wanted to be found. But a darker growth loomed in her chest, a fear that perhaps uncovering the truth would lead to more horrors. "Yeah," she stammered, uncertainty hitting her. Would tonight expose the truth, or swallow her whole like it had done with Lily and Jacob? As they made their way back through the festival, she could feel the weight of judgment from the glances of those around them, shadows creeping into their laughter. Cedar Grove wasn't just holding on to its secrets, it was preparing for a reckoning. With night fully falling and the fog closing in, Jenny could feel them, those restless spirits. A shiver slid down her spine. But what would she discover beneath the surface? Would a chance to unveil Cedar Grove's curse lead to her salvation, or would the darkness consume another? As the festival raged on, a whispered chant began to echo around them. Strapped with intrigue and fear, she felt the grip of time tightening around her throat. What happens next could change everything. The air thickened with anxiety as Jenny and David maneuvered through the festival's throng. Bright lights flickered like dying stars, and the laughter around them felt like a cruel mockery of the tempest brewing in her chest. She could hear the whispers again, urging her to return to the Wailing Oak, but David's presence was a lifeline, anchoring her to the moment even if uncertainty twisted in her gut. "Jenny, are you okay?" He glanced at her, his brows knitted with concern. "I just saw him, David," she responded, desperation threading through her voice. "Edward. He said to find him. Are you sure you weren't dreaming?" He let out a nervous laugh, but it faded under the weight of her earnest gaze. The festival's festoons, meant for celebration, took on a menacing edge in her mind. "Look at everyone." She gestured to the crowd. "They know something's wrong. Why aren't they talking about it? Why are we the only ones?" Suddenly, the sky cracked with an unexpected lightning strike, illuminating the festival grounds. Gasps punctuated the air as shadows contracted, twisting into forms Jenny couldn't recognize. In one heartbeat, joy turned to panic. "Everyone! The woods!" A voice howled, piercing the haze of excitement. It belonged to a young man, eyes wide with terror. "The fog is coming for us. We have to leave." Fear ignited within the crowd, faces replaced with confusion and dread. The cheerful melodies of the festival music faded, replaced with a haunting hum like a funeral dirge reminding them of the weight of unspoken truths. Before Jenny could process what was happening, David grabbed her arm tighter. "We need to get out of here." "No, not without finding the truth." She yanked her wrist free, determination flooding her veins. The fog swirling at the woodline beckoned like a lover's call, familiar yet dangerous. Deep down, she felt the pull of a secret that was hers to discover, and she couldn't let it go. "Jenny," David pleaded, but, lost in her resolve, she didn't look back. She rushed towards the edge of the fairgrounds, where the games fell silent and shadows danced along the trees. The wailing oak loomed like a guardian of forgotten souls, every groove in its bark a story begging to be uncovered. As she squeezed through the thinning crowd, she sensed fear woven into the glances thrown her way. Whispers like rustling leaves broke apart the laughter, their words churning frantic within her. "Don't go," some warned. "It's too late," others murmured, their faces pale under the festival lights. At last, she stood before the gnarled tree, heart racing. The fog thickened around her, consuming sound and sanity. She pressed her palms to the rugged bark, aware of the tingling sensation creeping up her arms, drawing a gasp from her lips. In that moment, the darkness of the woods thickened, and a piercing screech echoed through the air, sending shockwaves through her body. It sounded like 1,000 souls in distress, each cry mingling into one unholy roar that rattled her bones. "Jenny." David's voice shattered her focus, urgency flooding his tone. "We need to leave now." But as the fog began to swirl violently, she felt the warmth of a presence behind her. Edward's silhouette formed once more, features sharper, more intense, and visible within the tendrils of mist. His eyes bore into her, pleading and unwavering, an embodiment of the stories that had haunted Cedar Grove for generations. "Help me," he urged again, a desperate whisper teasing her ear. Her heart thumped wildly. What would happen if she stepped into the fog? Was this call a way to unearth the town's deepest fears and shadows, or was it merely a snare set to ensnare her soul? The mist formed shapes, writhing memories of the past. "Breathe," Jenny thought, clenching her fists. She couldn't succumb to hysteria. But as Edward's figure flickered in and out of existence, dread washed over her. What if uncovering the truth wasn't salvation, but betrayal? The townsfolk had hidden their pain. What lay hidden beneath the surface? David continued to tug on her arm, his eyes wide with fear. "Please, Jenny, we have to go." Torn between the safety of retreat and the all-consuming thirst for truth, she looked into the shadows forming around the tree, dark whispers echoing the names of those lost. And then, the ground trembled renouncing her thoughts. The roots of the wailing oak began to twist and throb like a heart, as the anguished cries escalated to a blood-curdling pitch that sent Jenny to her knees. What horrors lurked in the heart of Cedar Grove, poised to unravel her very existence? As the darkness encroached, Jenny's breath quickened. It was time to confront the ultimate truth hidden among the whispers, but at what cost? In a heartbeat, the fog thickened, cloaking her surroundings. "Find me," echoed once more, a promise laced with danger, pulsing in the undulating mist. Would she dare chase down the shadows, or flee into the uncertain night, forever haunted by what could have been? The moment Jenny felt the ground quake, every instinct screamed for her to escape. She fought against the fog's mesmerizing pull, breathing in the damp, earthy scent of the woods mixed with the lingering sweetness of festival treats. It smelled like home, yet something deep inside told her it was poison. "Jenny." David's voice was a lifeline, but her thoughts were entangled in the shadows. She swayed, mouth dry as her body screamed to either run or confront the truth before her. The jagged roots of the wailing oak twisted beneath her fingers, feeling alive, almost as if they fed off her fear. "Edward," she whispered, forcing the name past trembling lips. The air thickened with anticipation. The space between them felt charged, crackling like static before a storm. "Help me," echoed from the depths of the fog, the voice now layered with urgency, desperation bleeding through. "You're the only one who can." Every frozen part of Jenny pulled in the fog, tangled with lore and sorrow. She thought of the townsfolk, those who believed in the curse of the wailing oak, and the whispers they shared in the dead of the night. Never did they mention the price of seeking the truth. They had survived the shadows, but at what cost? "Don't give in." David's grip on her tightened, his breath hitching as he scanned around. "This is madness." But the moment hung heavy in the air. Jenny could almost see the truth tangled within the furls of mist swirling around her. Edward's form flickered closer, his features morphing into a perfect blend of pain and yearning, a mirror reflecting her own turmoil. Another shudder ran through the earth. The voices of the past surged, growing louder until they crescendoed into a wailing chorus that clawed at her mind. Familiar names surged back to her: the lost children, the secrets whispered by the fireside had she not been warned. Was this a reckoning for all who tried to stay silent? The shadows beckoned, forming shapes that pressed against her memory. She saw glimpses of faces, twisted in anguish, searching for solace that might not come. The fog shifted, revealing a spectral hand reaching out, fingers twitching with longing. "Jenny, please." Panic burst through David's voice. "We're running out of time." She hesitated, her heart pounding with the weight of the choice that loomed between them. If she stepped forward, would she be stepping into Edward's past, or dragging David down into the dark? With a desperate scream, the haunting chorus intensified, drowning her thoughts, shaking her resolve. Inspiration surged. No matter the risk, she needed to confront what had brought Edward to this very moment. What had broken the hearts of Cedar Grove? "Stay here," she shouted over the chaos, her own voice trembling with determination. She took a step towards the fog, its icy tendrils wrapping around her, pulling her into the dark. Jenny's breath hitched, and the air turned electric. This was not just a call to save Edward, but to unearth the truth that had plagued the town for generations. "Jenny, don't." David's voice faded, lost to the howl of the burgeoning wind as she crossed the threshold into the fog. Silent screams enveloped her, whispering names, secrets, and truths she had yet to uncover. The darkness wrapped around her. Shadows danced, flickered, and twirled in unsettling rhythm. Every step felt like the ground was swallowing her whole. Panic surged, but Jenny shortened her breaths, reminding herself of the light beneath the weight of fear. With every heartbeat, visions of the past barreled closer, memories compressed into tapestry of horrors begging to be stitched back together. As she pushed deeper into the murkiness, she braced for what unearthed horrors awaited her. Was the truth worth the risk? And then, as if sensing her resolve, the fog parted for a fleeting moment, revealing a haunting image. The wailing oak's roots wrapped around a crumbling book, ancient and foreboding. The air changed. An ominous whisper echoed through the trees: "You are not alone." Her heart stopped. What if uncovering the truth uncovered something? About herself? Would she become another lost soul in Cedar Grove's eerie fabric? Time slowed as she reached for the book, its surface cold and pulsing with life. And in that moment, she knew the real battle was only just beginning. What secrets lay written in the pages, ready to tear apart not just Cedar Grove's past, but also her very future. The moment Jenny's fingers brushed the cover of the ancient book, a jolt shot through her, as if the roots of the wailing oak had come alive, surging with energy. Images exploded behind her eyes, faces twisted in pain, dark sacrifices made in the shadows of history. She gasped, pulling her hand back momentarily, the weight of the past heavy in the air. But the fog thickened again, and she could feel it crawling closer, shoving her back towards the very stories that haunted Cedar Grove. "What are you hiding?" she whispered into the swirling mist, her heart racing. The air seemed to vibrate with an answer, a low hum like a warning bell. With a deep breath, she reached back for the book, her fingers trembling with both terror and determination. As she lifted it free from the gnarled roots, the trees seemed to exhale a collective breath, brushing past her shoulder like spectral fingers. Instantly, a wave of knowledge flooded her mind, and she felt the cold press of a chilling wind enveloping her. "Read it," a voice echoed, distinct yet layered with others. It was warm and inviting, yet sent icy fingers racing down her spine. "You need to know the truth binds us." Jenny held the book tightly, its cover etched with strange symbols that pulsed like a heartbeat. Scenes flashed before her: a gathering beneath the moon, children dancing by the fire, shadows shifting in the dark, an innocent facade that instantly turned sinister. "Jenny." David's voice sliced through the fog, desperate and frantic as he pushed through the mist. Shadows warped around him, refusing to let him near. "You have to come back." She glanced back at him, her heart aching. "David, I can't. This is bigger than us." Her voice trembled, almost lost beneath the cacophony of whispers rising from the book. The fog curled tighter around her, stretching out like fingers, pleading for understanding. The voices grew louder, the wailing crescendo approaching its climax as she opened the book. The pages came alive, the ink shifting and swirling until they revealed a gathering of town history, obscure rituals, communal fears, and the tragedy that marked Cedar Grove. Each revelation cut deeper, serrated edges against her soul. How many? She gasped as she absorbed the words, weighted with anguish and regret. How many lives were taken for this curse? The very air shifted, swirling like a tempest, sucking the light around her. She could see them now, figures emerging from the fog, ghostly outlines bound by unfulfilled destinies and cracked dreams. They stared, hollow-eyed yet filled with longing, as if Jenny was the key to their salvation. "Must you bear our burden?" One voice whispered hollowly, and she recognized it, a lost child, a name she had heard as a warning. "Or will you let it fade into nothing?" Jenny's heart ached, the pull of their pleas anchoring her. "I won't let you fade," she vowed, desperate to bring them peace, to rewrite the past. But the truth came with a price. What would she have to sacrifice to set them free? The fog thickened, an avalanche of voices urging her forward. The urge to learn, to understand, to free them flowed through her veins like fire. But as she turned the pages faster, a sharp cry buried in the clamor pierced through. "You'll lose part of yourself if you uncover everything." The realization slashed through her like a knife, freezing her in place. Was this truth worth her own soul? Could she confront her own darkness while grasping at shadows long before her time? Before she could move, the ghosts surged, faces twisted with determination and despair, twisting her foundation of resolve. An unseen force yanked the book from her grip, sending it spiraling into the mist. It vanished like a lost hope, leaving behind a cacophony of screams and laughter, echoing in the twisted branches of the wailing oak. All at once, Jenny felt time fall away. The ground shook once more, and with her heart racing, she realized whatever she had unearthed was not over. The real struggle was just beginning, stronger than any curse that held Cedar Grove. "Jenny, come back," David's voice cried. Again, breaking her daze as the shadows closed in. Caught between the fading whispers of the past and the urgency of the present, she braced herself for what lay ahead. All she could do was decide. Would she dare reach into the darkness to find the light, or let the past swallow her whole? As fog swirled and hidden truths lingered in the air, Jenny's pulse quickened, heart pounding with the gravity of her decision. Her next step could change everything. What price would she pay to uncover the secrets that still haunted Cedar Grove? The ground trembled beneath her, and Jenny's breath caught in her throat as the fog surged closer, devouring the remnants of light. It felt like the spirits were fighting for her attention, their whispers piercing through the chaos, blending into a cacophony that tugged at her very soul. "Jenny, please." David's voice cut through the noise, raw with fear. She turned toward him, almost feeling the warmth of his presence in the icy clutches of the mist. But behind him, shadows writhed, shifting like they were alive, trying to separate them. "You have to get out of there." "Not until I understand," she shouted back, the determination solidifying inside her. But as the words escaped her lips, uncertainty knotted her stomach. What was she stepping into? A shadow loomed above her, dark and misshapen. It twitched and morphed, stretching and shrinking, clawing for her attention. It took form, a tall figure swathed in the fog. Jenny blinked, and for a terrifying moment, she thought she saw the face of a woman, skin stretched tight over hollow cheeks, eyes shimmering like hot coals. "Join us," Jenny, the voice rolled out, thick and syrupy, thickened with a honeyed temptation that felt like poison. "You know you want to know," she screamed, tearing her gaze away. The air around her shimmered, a low hum reverberating, threatening to pull her inside the shadow. She turned back to David, who was barely visible behind a curtain of shifting fog, panic etched into his features. "Get back. You don't understand." Suddenly, the ground burst open like a dam, revealing endless darkness. The whispers around her grew frantic calls for help, cries of despair, each more desperate than the last. A hand, claw-like and desperate, reached from the depths, grasping for her. "Stay away from her." David's voice erupted, and in that instant, Jenny broke. She lunged forward, entranced by the hands emerging from the darkness, yearning to connect. "Jenny, no. Come back." His panic heightened, but it only fueled the shadows, that darkness lunging closer. "I have to do this," she shouted back, feeling the magnetic pull of their grief, their unfinished stories. Her thoughts clashed with instinct as they battled within her. The voices rose in a tumultuous crescendo. "Help us. Please, stop," she cried again, teeth grinding. "What do you want from me?" Reality shifted, revealing the pages she had lost, the ancient book spinning through the air like a dandelion seed caught in the wind. It spiraled out of reach, the weight of history pressing against her. Then she saw at a flash of the wailing oak, bathed in moonlight, with figures dancing beneath its branches, faces illuminated and laughing, innocence before darkness swallowed them whole. She reached, grasping for the memory, but it slipped like sand through her fingers. Let them be free. A sudden ferocity surged within her. If she could confront this darkness, perhaps they could finally rest. But the shadows thickened, refusing to relent, pulling the scream from her throat. "I can't do this alone." A blinding light flickered across the branches of the wailing oak, breaking through the fog. It illuminated the ghostly figures surrounding her, their faces twisted with anguish, eyes shimmering with hope, yet frozen in despair. "You must sacrifice your fear," one voice whispered softly, yet so clear it felt like a knife. "Only then can you understand." Jenny's heart pounded as bleak understanding crashed into her. What would she have to face? Would she truly lose herself in this quest for truth? "David," she managed to cry, her voice shaking. "Help me." But the fog surged, crashing over her like a tidal wave. The ghosts clustered around her, reaching out with desperate hands, their faces etched with urgent need. Suddenly, everything went dark. The world faded, and Jenny felt the ground vanish beneath her feet, propelling her into the abyss. As gravity claimed her, panic twisted in her gut. Would she come out of this? Would she even want to? And with a roar of voices trailing behind her like a chilling wind, she only clung to the thought of David, waiting. In agony, and the knowledge that her journey into the dark had only begun. What awaited her on the other side? And would she truly return with the truth that could save Cedar Grove from its haunting legacy? The moment the darkness swallowed her, it felt like being sucked into a void. Jenny could no longer hear the frantic whispers or the echoes of David's voice. All the noise and chaos faded, leaving only a suffocating silence that pressed against her from every direction. She gasped, the air thick like smoke, and yet she couldn't feel the ground beneath her. It was as if she floated in a limitless expanse where time and space tangled into one eternal moment. Then came a flicker of faint light, just a glimmer at first, fighting bravely against the darkness. Drawn to it, Jenny reached out instinctively, though the fear knotted in her stomach. What was she reaching for? As the light intensified, shadows ebbed away, revealing an eerie landscape she didn't recognize. It was like stepping into a painting, one where the colors had bled together, swirling in haunting hues of midnight blue and ghostly white. Barren trees twisted in the gale, their branches resembling skeletal fingers clawing at the sky. In the distance, she saw a figure standing beneath one of those trees. It was the tall shadow from before, yet now it appeared clearer, no longer mere darkness. The woman's face emerged from the fog, a perfect mask of longing and torment. "Why have you come, Jenny?" The voice was musical yet sorrowful, wrapping around her like a shroud. I want to help," she stuttered, the words barely escaping her lips. Each syllable felt like a stone thrown into water heavy, creating ripples of fear within her. "Help?" The woman laughed, a sound tinged with bitterness. "Do you even understand what you're offering? Do you know what you must lose?" Jenny straightened, gathering whatever courage she could muster. "I have to know. I can't leave them here, trapped in their pain." "Ah, but your own pain is waiting to engulf you," she warned, stepping closer, her form shifting, twisting. "You see, sacrifice is not free, little one. To understand their grief, you must confront your own." The weight of her words crashed down on Jenny, squeezing her chest. How could she face her past? Memories flooded her mind, the loss of her mother, the tears she de-swallowed, the isolation she de-battled. It was a churning tide she never wanted to relive. Yet, the shadows danced around her, urging her to move forward. "What will happen to me?" Jenny whispered, a tremor in her voice. The woman's eyes glowed, a luminescent shine that bore into Jenny's soul. "You might become like us, lost forever." Or she leaned in, her breath hot against Jenny's skin. "You might find peace." No. Jenny's voice broke through the fog. I won't let this happen. I refuse to give in to despair. Then do what you must, the woman said, straightening. But understand this, the darkness has a price. To find the truth, you may have to give up parts of yourself you hold dear. As the shadows thickened around her, Jenny felt the thrum of her own heart, steady yet panicked, igniting the urgency within. She pictured David's face, his fear, his helplessness, and it became the anchor she desperately clung to. Tell me what to do, she yelled, determination burning hotter than fear. I'll confront whatever it takes. I won't leave anyone behind. At her words, something shifted. The shadows retreated slightly, unveiling an outline behind the woman. A door, shrouded in swirling mist, appeared. This is your passage, the spirit said, gesturing toward it. Beyond lies the truth you seek, or your greatest nightmare. Choose wisely. Jenny's hands trembled as she took a step forward, the air crackling with energy. The door resonated, a hum that pulled at every fiber of her being. But behind her, the whispers returned, rising in volume, urging her to turn back. Would she step into the unknown, ready to face the horrors that lay waiting? As the voices echoed in her mind, contrasting with her resolute heartbeat, Jenny felt the chilling thrill of impending revelation. Taking a deep breath, she placed her hand on the door. Would this lead to salvation or madness? And as the door creaked open, a blinding light flooded the dark. She couldn't shake. The feeling that her true test was just beginning. What awaited her on the other side? And would she discover the truth without losing herself entirely? The moment she pushed the door open, a blinding light surged forth, enveloping Jenny like a wave crashing upon the shore. It was warm and inviting, yet held an underlying chill that sent shivers down her spine. Her instincts screamed at her to retreat, but she couldn't. She had promised herself she wouldn't flee from the truth. The light dimmed as she stepped through, revealing another desolate landscape. But this one was different, vibrant, yet foreboding. Empty fields stretched infinitely around her, lit by a pale sun that hung low in the ominous sky. The air felt thick and charged with untold stories. Distant whispers fluttered around her, growing louder as if urging her forward. With each step, the ground squelched beneath her like wet clay, pulling at her feet. She felt a tightness in her chest. Every breath seemed to echo claustrophobically as dread unfurled like smoke. She had to keep moving, had to confront whatever darkness awaited her. Then, she saw it. A large mirror stood tall in the midst of the field, rusted and cracked. A chill darted up her spine. The whispers intensified, swirling around her like a tempest. Was this what the woman had meant? The moment of truth? Heart pounding. She approached the reflective surface, her own nervous breath fogging the glass. As she neared, the whispers sharpened, morphing into frantic shouts that crashed against her mind. See what you've lost. With a shaky hand, she touched the cool surface, and suddenly, images flickered within the mirror's depths. Faces emerged, her mother's warm smile, David's loving gaze, the faces of friends whose lives had intersected with hers in painful ways. Flashes of laughter turned grim, and suddenly her world fractured into chaos. The young girl was sobbing, reflections of herself in moments of agony flickering like a faulty movie reel. The pain radiated from the glass, clawing at her heart. It hurt. She felt the familiar sting of tears threatening to break free. No, Jenny cried. I can't look back. I need to move forward. But the mirror pulsed, drawing her in. Voices shrieked, each one echoing a memory she wished to forget. Her mother's death, the anger, David's heartbreak. It felt like suffocation, the memories rising up like ghosts demanding to be heard. Suddenly, she grasped the truth in the chaos. There was no salvation without facing her past. With fierce determination, she leaned closer, forcing herself to confront each face lost. The pain rooted deep within her felt like barbed wire, wrapping tighter as the memories surged. Let me in, she shouted, her voice defiant against the howling winds. The mirror rippled. The faces blurred, twisting together until they formed a single figure, a girl from her past. One who had drowned in despair, the same girl she had long ago buried. And in that moment, a slice of recognition pierced through the darkness. Forgive yourself, the figure whispered. To move on, you must first forgive and let go. Tears streamed down Jenny's cheeks. The weight of anguish threatened to collapse her, but she stood her ground. This was her moment to change the narrative. She could not succumb to the sorrow that had engulfed her for so long. Just as the shimmering figure began to dissipate, a loud crash echoed behind her. She whipped around. A violent wind erupted, the air slicing through her skin. From the storm, shadows surged forth, dark and menacing, not mere phantoms, but entities fueled by malice. They were here for her, pressing closer, their whispers growing into a deafening scream. Backed against the mirror, she realized the battle wasn't just against guilt, but against the very darkness hunting her down. With her heart racing, Jenny clenched her fists, determination igniting her spirit. She had to fight her way through this, to find the courage to face not only the memories but the looming threat behind them. "Let us do this," she shouted, drawing strength from the depths of her soul. The shadows paused, sensing her resilience. Would they retreat, or would they unleash their fury upon her? As the tension peaked and the light from the mirror pulsed like a heartbeat, Jenny braced herself for whatever might come next. Would this confrontation reveal her path to redemption or lead her into deeper despair? Jenny's heartbeat raced, each thrum echoing the urgency that gripped her spirit. The shadows shifted, their forms flickering like flames, uncertainty swirling around her. She felt the weight of countless eyes, the tear-stained faces of lost souls weaving their threads into her consciousness, urging her to break free from the confines of her past. "Forgive yourself," the whispered encouragement drifted through the air. The trembling urgency to confront her memories twisted inside her like a coiled snake ready to strike. She was aware now that her pain wasn't merely her own. Every fear, every scar reflected the ancient wounds of Cedar Grove. The shadows around her swelled with energy, angry and desperate, but she took a resolute step toward the mirror. The past bubbled up like a cauldron, and she was tired of running. "You will not hold me back," she screamed, the words erupting from her chest with a ferocity she didn't know she possessed. The entity swirling in front of her seemed to hesitate, a flicker of doubt washing through the air. Taking advantage of their momentary pause, she lunged forward, her palm pressing against the cold glass once more. "I forgive you," she whispered, each syllable an incantation. Tears streamed down her cheeks as the faces flickered behind the mirror, mouths opening as if to join her chant. "I forgive me." And as she said it, the world exploded into light. The shadowy figures recoiled, their screams morphing into howls as the white light enveloped them, illuminating the dark space with the promise of relief. The mirror crackled, images shimmering until they finally shattered into a million stars, scattering the remnants of hurt across the barren field. With the shadows retreating, hope surged through her veins. She could feel the energy shift, a pulse of liberation echoing through her, igniting the air around her with warmth. Suddenly, she found herself standing before the ghostly figure of the woman, who looked at her with newfound respect. "You have taken the first step, little one," she said softly. "To seek the truth necessitates understanding your own." "What do I do now?" Jenny asked, breathlessly pulling herself together, the remnants of her fear fading with each moment. The fight against the darkness had revealed something deeper. There was power in understanding, in facing the demons head-on. The figure beckoned her, and for the first time, Jenny felt calmness settle around her like a protective cloak. "Follow me," the woman whispered, her outline shimmering in the dimming light. "There is still more to uncover." Taking a breath filled with purpose, Jenny moved towards the spirit, her previous doubts disarmed by the fresh clarity surging within her. Together, they waded through the remnants of fading shadows, the air brightening with her passion. "Where are we going?" Jenny asked, her voice steadier now. "To the heart of Cedar Grove's secrets," the spirit replied. "You are the bridge between the past and the present. Only you can mend the pain born from silence." And as they stepped through the veil, the landscape morphed around them. They stood at the edge of the once familiar woods, now transformed. Lush roots intertwined with vibrant life. Echoes of laughter danced through the tree's canopy, and warmth wrapped around them like a gentle embrace. A web of connections seemed to pulse with Jenny, a living reminder of intertwined fates, each one waiting to be healed. Suddenly, faces began to emerge from the dark corners of the grove, familiar yet distant. The townsfolk, those whose paths had crossed life and death, shaping Cedar Grove's legacy. They gathered, a spectral audience waiting for the truth she carried like a torch. "Tonight marks the end of our silence," Jenny proclaimed, her voice reverberating through the night air. "I won't hide from the past any longer. We will remember, and together we can heal." A tangible silence fell over the crowd, and as if drawn by an unseen force, the spirits began to step forward, their features flickering with yearning, memories swirling like leaves in a breeze. The connection was immediate. Sorrow, nostalgia, and hope poured forth, bonding them in shared ambition. "Forgive us," cried a spirit, a child lost too young. "We didn't mean to drag you down with us." But Jenny held up her hand, a symbol of understanding forged through her own struggle. "Together, we find peace. Let me guide you." The night air trembled with unspoken energy, and as she began to speak of their long-stifled pain, each story materialized in the fabric around them. Together they wove a tapestry of their shared past, a memorial of warmth, heartache, joy, and sorrow. With every name uttered, the burden on her heart lightened, replacing anguish with solace. Each whisper echoed back, bringing warmth, and she could feel the townsfolk's connection intertwining with her own. She had become a part of that fabric, each thread representing a life interspersed with light and shadow. And then, slowly, one by one, the figures began to smile. The air grew serene as she watched the spirits regain color, forming an ethereal display of humanity tangled in love. Cedar Grove began to awaken, reborn through acknowledgement. As the final name fell from her lips, a luminescent glow enveloped them all. The remnants of darkness faded away, lost to a new beginning. Jenny felt it resonate deep within her, a call to rise, to offer a piece of herself to preserve the tales that shaped Cedar Grove. As the last echoes of the night faded, Jenny felt light as a feather. Standing there, surrounded by the spirits she helped set free, she realized the truth she sought had always been within her. She no longer feared the shadows, she understood them. Now, a light pierced through her heart, not merely promising resurrection for the lost, but forging an unbreakable bond connecting her to Cedar Grove forever. And as dawn broke across the horizon, Jenny smiled. She was no longer just a part of the town's story. She was its future, the keeper of memories, entrusted with weaving the past into the living tapestry of Cedar Grove. That it was done. The reckoning had taken place. As the spirits dispersed, light dancing brightly around her, Jenny took one last look at the vibrant grove, knowing she had fulfilled her calling. The adventure of life awaited just beyond the horizon. But remember, dear friends, tales of the past can only guide us if we share them. So join me. Don't close the chapter. Subscribe immediately to the channel so you don't miss the next exclusive stories. This is the moment to show your support. Smash the like button now and feed the algorithm. Flood the comments section with your reactions and theories about this incredible ending. And don't wait even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to hear this conclusion. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting the channel through these actions.